All right, let's talk about 4 words you probably use 100 times a day without even thinking about it. This, that, these, and those. Now, they seem super simple, right? But they're actually the secret toolkit we use to connect our language to the world around us.
What starts as a basic grammar rule is actually going to take us on a pretty wild ride. We're going to see how these words work 2 different jobs, discover the wild reason a teacher might actually ban them, and then we'll see how other languages around the world solve the exact same problem in totally different ways. So, first things first, let's nail down the basics. At their heart, these 4 words are just pointers. They exist to answer 2 really simple questions. How close is it? And is it one thing or more than one? Okay, let's start with stuff that's close by. If something is right here within arm's reach, you use this for a single thing, like this boba tea right here. If you've got more than one, it just becomes plural. These boba teas. See? Near and singular is this. Near and plural is these. Easy. Now let's push those things a little further away. If you're pointing at something across the room, you'd use that for just one, as in that boba tea over there. And if there's a whole bunch of them, it's those boba teas. So far and singular is that, far and plural is those. This little grid right here, this is basically the entire decision-making process. Every single time you use one of these words, your brain is unconsciously asking those 2 questions. Is it near or far? Is it singular or plural? That's the whole system, all laid out.
But this is where it starts to get really interesting. These 4 words are like linguistic chameleons. They can actually do 2 completely different jobs in a sentence, and it all depends on where you put them.
The official kind of fancy term for these words is demonstratives, because they, demonstrate or point something out. Now, when a demonstrative replaces a noun, it's acting as a pronoun, but when it describes a noun, it's an adjective. And you can really see the difference when they're in action. Check this out. On the left, when it's an adjective, the word is kind of glued to the noun it's describing. This pen, those shoes. It's giving more info about the noun. But look at the right side. It's standing all by itself, replacing the noun entirely, and it's usually followed by a verb. This is, those are. It's the exact same word, just doing 2 totally different things. So this double duty ability, especially when these words are acting as pronouns, can lead to a really common headache for writers. I like to call it the ambiguity trap. And get this, here's a quote from a student on Reddit. Imagine your English teacher telling you that you're just not allowed to use words as basic as this or that. Sounds crazy, but there's actually a pretty smart reason behind it. So why on earth would any teacher do that? I mean, these words are fundamental to how we talk, right? Well, the answer has everything to do with the big difference between speaking and writing. Think about it. If we're talking and I say, this is awesome, I can point to what I'm talking about. My body language gives you all the context you need. But when you're writing, you can't point. If you write, the company's profits fell, this was a major concern. What does this actually refer to? The falling profits? The whole company? It's unclear. The fix is simple. Just add the noun back in. The company's profits fell. This decline was a major concern. Boom. Instantly clear. That's what the teacher was training their students to do. Okay, now for the part that I think is so cool. We've seen that English's simple near versus far system works, but it's not perfect. So how do other languages do it? Well, it turns out our 2-part system is just one of many, many ways to point with words. So linguists have a name for this, dictic systems. It sounds really academic, but all it means is how a language carves up the space around a speaker. English, like we've seen, has a pretty simple 2-way deal. It's either near me or it's not near me. But that is far from the only way to do things. And this is where it gets really fun. A lot of languages add more layers. So take Japanese. It has a word for something near me, just like English, but it also has a completely separate word, sono, for something that's near you, the person I'm talking to. And then a third word, ano, for something that's far away from both of us. Other languages, like Hunzib, just have 3 levels of distance, near, middle, and far. So to figure out how all these different systems are spread out, the World Atlas of Language Structures, WALS for short, did a huge survey. They looked at 234 languages from all over the planet just to see how they handle pointing words. And the results are fascinating.
Our two-way system is the most common. It's in just over half the languages they looked at. But check this out. Three-way systems, like in Japanese, are also incredibly common, making it more than a third of the world's languages. Anything more complicated than that is way, way rarer.
So, we've gone all the way from a simple grammar rule to a trip around the linguistic world. Let's bring it all back home and talk about why these tiny little words are actually so incredibly important.
All right, so here's the quick and dirty recap. This and these are for what's near, that and those are for what's far. Remember, they can be adjectives, which is great for clear writing, or pronouns, which can get a little tricky. And just keep in mind that the way English does it is just one option among many.
So why does this all matter? Well, in linguistics, words like this, that, here, and now have a special name. They're called indicators. And they're special because their meaning completely depends on the context, on who is saying them, and where and when. They are the anchors that tether our abstract world of language to the specific physical reality that we all share. Which brings us to one last thought to chew on. English gets by with just two spatial categories. But if you could invent a third pointing word for English, what would it be for? Would it be for something near the person you're talking to? Or maybe for something you can hear but can't see? It's a really interesting puzzle that gets to the heart of how language builds our reality. Something to think about.